So when I took 352, it didn't really focus a lot on Bash. For the most part, we were working with C, and this was especially apparent towards the end of the semester. However, we did play around with Bash a little bit, and I learned a few commands that popped up in the assignments for analyzing, or just rather using Tura related stuff, like cut, grep, cd, all that fun things. However, despite knowing Bash was its own script, I didn't realize there were even arrays. In hindsight, it makes perfect sense. However, I just didn't see that until I looked into the suggestions of the what to do for this assignment. So looking into it, I found out there's actually two kinds of arrays: indexed and associative. Associative is a lot more reminiscent of a dictionary in Python or a object in JavaScript. However, that's not what I'll be focusing on. Instead, we're going to do something a lot more familiar, what's referred as the indexed array. The indexed array is pretty straightforward and looks what I found to be pretty similar to a brackets form in the way that it's surrounded by parentheses and doesn't use commas to separate. As Bash does, trying to call the variable directly will not end well, so you might think that this will work, but interesting enough, this will only show the first element. To show all the elements, you could use a for loop, as a lot of languages will do, or you could use the asterisk to put them all on the same line as so. To see the length of the list, I found that this works. And I know that R indexing to the at sign is used in the for loop to print out all the elements in it. So I think this might give effectively it's allowing a range of length or range length kind of purposes, it looks like. If otherwise behaviorally, it reminds me a lot more of Python lists than any other kind of array. Notably that while it's not surprising that you can change individual elements values as so, no, that's not it. You can append and remove elements from these lists. Interesting enough, the way to append things is the plus equal sign, which we typically associate with incrementing integer or generally numerical values. But it also seems to have a very interesting behavior, which is somewhat linked to how echoing the array just gives the first element. When you do array plus equals, say, let's say 5, yeah, why not 5, no errors thrown, but when you do this, it doesn't append to the end, it basically concatenates the strings, it looks like, for the first element. I haven't actually checked if these consider these as strings still, and I'm not certain, so I'm gonna try that right now. If it's a string, this should be 12. If it's not, it should be 3. So let's take a look. So I think it's treating it basically like strings and concatenating them. So that's new to me. But to add to the end of an array, you have to surround the value you want to add by parentheses. So this will add 5 to the end. And I haven't tried this with multiple ones yet actually, but I think this should work. Yeah. So to get rid of the element though, you'll have to use unset, which is an interesting term. It's not like delete or pop or anything like that. But nonetheless, it works a lot like. Well, it's not. It doesn't work quite like pop, but in Python, but it does seem to just depend on the index given here. So when I do unset array at 0, this should remove the 12. Now if we take a look at the length, it should have updated to 7, I believe. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's about it really. The only other thing I could think of interest is just how the for loop is written, but it's really not too different from Python. So that's where the @ sign comes in again, which I thought was interesting. Okay. Arrays are the data form that result from a few different bash commands, notably of which is a string split command that I don't really know the mechanics of, but seem to work a lot like the string.split methods in Python. Was there anything else? I don't know, I can't think of anything, so I guess that's it. Thanks for watching.